Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 20 of Boy Blue and Bigby. It's also the first episode of the new year. Isn't that exciting?
Yay!
Two
Whoa, yeah.
milestones. And today, in this very special episode titled The Vagabond New Year Spectacular, we're talking all about the great manga Vagabond. So, without further ado,
Who's it by?
that's a wonderful question. I've attempted to say his name several times. I will not be attempting today. Look it up. Google it.
I honestly completely forgot who wrote it.
I think it's Takehiko Inoue,
Okay,
something like
all
that.
right.
Yeah.
I wasn't trying to like mess with you this time. I was like 100% like I forgot who the writer is.
So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're gonna start with just kind of an overview. If you've been listening to our show, you probably know what Vagabond is, just because of how many times we've mentioned it. We'll start with a short little overview, and then we'll talk some specifics because that's fun. Basically, I think this is just an excuse for us to talk about
Yeah,
Vagabond. So
official excuse to talk about. I mean, all the other times we're like in the middle of another topic and we just go on about Vagabond.
Exactly. So yeah, do you want to give a little short thing? Do you want me to start? What do you want to do here?
I figured this is your favorite
Okay,
top,
yeah,
like your favorite. I figured
yeah.
I'll let you take the lead and
Okay,
I'll swoop in.
So Vagabond is primarily about a samurai, more specifically a ronin, so like a masterless samurai named Miyamoto Musashi. He is a real historical figure. He's one of the most famous samurais ever. And Vagabond is basically, I believe there was a novel written about Musashi, and then the writer artist of Vagabond, who I said earlier, he decided to try to adapt the novel into a series. So it's not probably going to be like the most historically accurate thing ever because it was a real person, then it was a novel, a historical novel based off of the real person, and now we have a third person making a manga about it. But it is spectacular. So read it anyways. It has some of the best art. If you haven't seen the art in it, just like Google image it. It's amazing. It's the best art I've seen in a manga personally. And Vagabond, it starts off, it's just, I don't know why I love it so much. I don't know why many people love it so much because it's very basic when you get right down to it. The plot is him, Musashi, developing from kind of just a wild man. Like he just wants to fight people.
Everybody he meets, basically.
He just wants to prove he's a capable swordsman, and he's just angry. He wants to fight, and you see him develop. Past that, you see him develop some relationships, but really it's just about him maturing as a person, but also maturing in the way of the sword, and kind of how those are the same in an odd way. Some like he's learning that, I don't know, fighting may not always be the answer, but he still fights a lot. So, there's that.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. He has a tendency to strike up these fights just because he wants to be the best around.
Right.
Or no, invincible under the sun.
Yeah,
sorry.
He wants to become invincible under the sun. And you slowly get some backstory on him and see kind of what drives him, and why becoming powerful is so important to him. But it's an interesting story. At times it's very meditative, philosophical, and I think if you're okay with kind of a slower pace because I think it starts very action heavy, starts very, he's fighting like everybody, like I said, but
Mhm.
it kind of turns into this, him kind of ruminating on violence and what it means to be a samurai. So it's good stuff, man.
It is amazing stuff, man. Like as he said before, we talked about it a lot every chance we get. And the thing that always blows my mind is the art. The
Mm-hmm.
art is amazing because it looks like he literally just took a snap of it and then just redid it completely on a computer. But I guess it's his own freehand art style kind of thing. Like
Yeah,
probably just working off what is it? Just a visual basically, not a mixture of taking a photo and then making it art. You know what I mean?
yeah, I don't actually know his process.
Mm-hmm.
I've always assumed though that it was like pencil and inks,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, maybe I'm incorrect. If you're a listener and you know, I would be interested to
Write it
know.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the art always blows me away. I love it. The characters and the character development in it is really amazing and very rare in some books that I read in the past. But this one, like as you say, he starts off fighting everybody, and then throughout the story, he's as far as we got is he's just like not so much as going head first into it. Like he goes and thinks about it and then calmly works his way into it, kind of thing. Not just like, oh, you're strong, I'm stronger, and then he charges right at him like he used to. I guess. What's the old phrase? With years comes wisdom.
Hmm.
Wisdom. And I think Musashi like takes that quote to heart when it comes to his journey to become invincible under the sun.
Right. And I think another thing that Vagabond has going for it is an interesting supporting cast. You meet other fighters, other samurais, and other mentors who all have their um, kind of different outlooks. I like the monk who kind of takes Musashi under his wing, and he shows up from time to time. I really, really despise. Gosh, what's his name?
His best friend.
Yeah, his
What's
former best friend.
yeah,
Um, I can't remember his name, but I mean, if you can make a
Ko
character.
Kojiro. Apparently, remember, on like one of
Oh
the
yeah,
issues,
yeah,
he goes
yeah.
by
His fake name.
Kojiro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but if you can make a character that I dislike that much, that's something. There's Atsu, who is sort of his love interest, but not really. I think he kind of sees her as a distraction, which is sad. And then there is the real Kojiro, and I
Who's a
actually find
straight up
him,
beast.
yeah, super fascinating. And we'll probably talk about him a little later when we talk more spoilers, but
Mhm,
just a very interesting cast. That was just a few
mhm.
people that I named off there, but it keeps it interesting.
They do, especially the granny.
Oh,
What's his name's the guy you don't like his mother.
I know.
Like she straight up hates Musashi throughout the entire thing, and she pops up frequently trying to, you
Yeah,
know, sit hits at him and whatnot.
I can't stand her. I can't
Hmm.
stand her. She's so annoying. I can't stand that whole family.
Yeah, the way they treated his love interest, like, oh, we brought you from nothing. We're supposed to be grateful. You're supposed to marry my son. La la la. Uh, it's just really weird.
Yeah, just really obnoxious, all
Yeah.
of them. Man, I'm blanking on that guy's name. It's gonna bug me because he's kind of a major part of the story.
Is he though? Every time he pops up, he says, "I'm gonna beat you, Musashi," and yet it's like one step forward, 10 steps back. And he's
Mata
like a
Matahachi, that's his name.
Marahachi.
Yeah, I had to
Yeah,
look it up because he's the worst. I mean,
he is.
every time he's there, I'm like, gosh darn it, do I have to read about you again? He's like the definition of like
Disappointment.
yeah, exactly. He's just the biggest disappointment
Mhm.
to everyone. So that was the brief overview. I think I'm not really sure if we can say much more without spoiling things. Um, but seriously, I cannot stress enough how much better the art is. I'm sorry than like
Mhm.
anything else. I'm like I shouldn't say better. I mean, I people have their preferences
Mhm.
and artists have different styles, but it's just so good.
It is. It's amazing and it's beautifully done and it's uh it's as real as art you're gonna be able to get in a manga.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, this is the spoiler warning. Let's talk some spoilers and
Spoiler alert.
yeah, we can talk about why we hate Matahachi, the burning passion.
He's terrible. I'm gonna start off with that.
Yeah.
He's a coward. He um he had an amazing wife who was waiting for him at home when they went to war, and him and Takezo at the time, that was his name,
Hmm.
and they end up going to a brothel. Like was it a brothel? It was just
It
like the
was
one prostitute, right?
yeah, it was like a prostitute and then the prostitute's
Yeah,
daughter.
yeah.
Yeah.
And they go there, and he ends up betraying his fiance by banging this prostitute, and then he ends up bringing shame on his family by never returning home and
Hmm.
basically calling off the wedding. And ever since then, he just kept running from his past and his mistakes and all that good stuff. And he steals like Kojiro's identity.
Right. Yeah, and like that was just so frustrating. Like when he's just going around saying that he's Kojiro, and all of these people are like, "Oh, you're such a great fighter."
Mhm.
And the interesting thing about that part of the story is, at that point, we don't know who Kojiro is. We've only heard that he's a great
The
fighter.
Yeah, the best fighter and
Yeah,
inventor of several styles. And
right. And yeah, he's just going around saying, "I'm Kojiro," and then when the real Kojiro appears, he's like, "Oh, I'm his interpreter,"
yeah,
which it brings us to probably the biggest spoiler. So super, super spoiler if you're not aware. Kojiro being deaf is like
the biggest
the biggest thing.
twist
It's
ever.
yeah. I almost cried, I think, like in Barnes and Noble. I was out of Barnes and Noble reading Vagabond. And I think it's volume 5 of the Viz
Hmm.
Bigs when you get Kojiro's backstory
Yeah,
and you see him raised as a baby by that random swordsman.
samurai. Yeah.
Man, heartbreaking. Like I just for some reason their relationship really got to me. I was like, it's so sad. It's all so beautiful.
I could actually see you like getting teary eyed in
I
Barnes and
was.
Noble, and your
I
wife is like, "What's wrong?" Like, nothing. It's rain. It's just
Yeah.
raining in here."
No, I was really I don't know what it was. And I think that's just like the power of his imagery. I mean, I think something with artists and comics and manga that I don't think about often is I will look at something like, wow, that's great art. But the actual like choice of what they're drawing, like what the, camera angle, if
Mhm.
you will, is going to be. it's almost like a director of a film. And I just remember in that volume, like when he's like a really little kid, like a toddler or something. And then like the person who's raising him, they're like on the beach. I don't know. It was very beautiful to me. And I
Mhm.
don't know, it made me tear up. And then Kojiro leaves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is kind of what you expected to happen since he
Right.
was referenced earlier. And the thing that kind of got me a little a little was the fact that he was attached to this samurai sword.
Hmm.
Like wherever he went, he cried without it, and he would like calm down when it was near him, and then the samurai guy just got rid of it. And I'm doing air quotes because he hid it from him.
Yeah.
And I was like, so the kid was born to basically kill because that's all his interest was, just swinging that sword or stick
Hmm.
or whatever. And then when he saw kids playing around with the like playing samurai, I guess is what you would call it, he get happy and then go in there and start playing with them and ends up taking down the leader of the group, I guess is what
Yeah.
he would be known as. I thought that was like really cool. Like, oh sweet, this kid's deaf and he's beating up all these kids who are uh, who are just there.
Right. And it's I don't know, it's really sad seeing, the this old swordsman who's retired, and he doesn't want Kojiro to be violent. He
Mhm.
doesn't he's only known a life of violence, and he wants to raise Kojiro to basically, I mean, be simple. I mean, kind of like, become have some sort of trade or be a farmer, anything like that. And Kojiro, from a small age is bent on being like a warrior. And I don't know. I I'm afraid I don't know what's gonna happen. So I'm like I'm afraid what this path of violence will mean to him. Because it's odd, even as an adult, he has a naive
Yeah,
sense about him. Like,
simplicity kind of thing.
yeah, like he'll kill people, and he doesn't seem to register that as like something he should be remorseful about.
Mhm.
He kind of just does. It's very strange.
It's like
Very
he's in a
fascinating.
trance. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Now,
it's so awesome.
so I forget, was his father a samurai? That was his father's sword, right? And then like I think his father
Yeah, I
died.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah, something like that.
I think his mom or his dad, maybe
Yeah,
both parents, because even the old samurai was like, "Is this your parents?" And he's just like, you know,
right.
can't hear him. But
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, Kojiro is just like he's just the most interesting character because you never know what he's thinking. He never has like a perspective. It's not like at
mm,
some point it's like, oh, he's deaf, but you get like inside the mind
yeah,
of Kojiro. It's like, nope. He just kind of smiles and like does whatever. We've talked about this before, but him just he put like his handprint
yeah,
on the
fight.
sign.
Yeah,
Yeah, because who was it who was challenging him? Or
Musashi was challenging the one of the brothers, the last
yeah,
brother.
right, from the school there.
Yeah,
And then he just
and
like smiled and like put his handprint on it. I was like,
it's
"Oh my gosh. What's he gonna do?"
gonna be amazing
It is.
because that's like leading up. Because I think Musashi hasn't fought anybody as tough that we've seen like Kojiro because he's deaf, but he has literally no fear because he just fights to fight because he's
Mhm.
bored or because he's literally know nothing else. And we got Musashi on the other end who's has a goal in mind to become the best swordsmen in the under the sun, and it's gonna be really wild to watch these two go head to head.
And I think that's a theme. I think you kind of touched on something there. Musashi, like very early on, keeps saying like he's not afraid to die. I'm not afraid to die.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not afraid to die. And then I think it's when he's fighting the spear guy the first
Yeah.
time where he realizes he is afraid to die. Like he realized he had never been put in a position where he was fighting to the death. And he kind of, I think that made him stronger because he realized that he does want to live, and that almost makes him fight harder. Where Kojiro, I don't know what that guy's thinking. I don't even think he's even thought about like the
Living
idea
or
of,
dying. He's
yeah.
just like
I
having
don't think
fun.
he's thought about the idea of losing because no one's like been better. he's only known victory. So I think like he's in this weird, like it's a game to him. It's very strange.
It is, but again, it's amazing because Kojiro never lost. He's never been cut as far, right? He hasn't been cut. No, he has.
I think he
By his
was,
sensei. Or
yeah.
not his sensei. The guy was showing him. But he hasn't really been cut in the middle of a fight.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't know how that's going to feel.
The severity of it.
Yeah, because he just fights when he fights. He just ends it like in an instant. And he'll be fighting like either one guy or like 7. And he'll take them all out. And then we got Musashi, who's been cut up, beaten up, left for dead, bloody. So that's probably why he's like, oh, hey, yeah, this is sort of making me better, but I kind of still don't want to die. And he
Yeah.
just keeps going and going and going. And it's pretty much going to be who has the strongest life or death situation kind of thing.
Right.
Like I almost want to say willpower, but they both equally got their own willpower in each other because Musashi being the best, Kojiro never lost. He's just doing it because he's bored, basically, and I just can't wait to read it.
Yeah. So one thing I kind of liked in, I think it was the latest volume that I think we've both read.
Mhm.
I think volume 8 is you learned that brother, the older brother, the master of the sword school. That the school's in Kyoto, right? I think that's what it is. You learn that he's kind of a cheat. He like tries to like kill Musashi like a sneak attack or something, right?
No, it was one of the brothers, not the one who's gonna fight.
Yeah, it was the older one.
Yeah.
The older one who's supposedly better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he had a gun at him.
Yeah.
He was entering. Yeah.
No, the guy with the gun was the second in command, the other warrior. Because there's the guy.
Wait, which time are you talking about? Because I remember. Because you said the latest one. That's the one with the gun. The one when they try to kill him was in a previous volume, right?
Well, I probably forget. I know the oldest brother who dies, the one who kind of looks like he looks younger.
Yeah.
He's like that tiny guy. Yeah. He like attacks Musashi when he's like asleep or something, right? Like
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. And then that's when Musashi
that's the volume before. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's when Musashi kills him, and I was like, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for that guy, so the other brother I actually don't mind. Because he seems to fight with honor, and they said they'd meet in a year, But yeah, then the second in command guy doesn't want their new leader to die, so he like just pulls a gun on him. Yeah,
he doesn't want them to bring more shame to the school.
Right. Do you have like a favorite adversary of Musashi, like favorite person he's fought?
Oh, it has to be the spear guy. I don't know his name because
Yeah.
they didn't really fight. It was just more that one was like pure intense willpower as they both just stood there for like the whole entire uh book. They just stood there like testing each other's mental strength, and it was by far the greatest non-physical fight I've ever read
Hmm.
because you could feel the tension spewing out of the novel as it's like hitting you as you could feel these two getting ready to fight.
Yeah,
And
I agree. I think that's probably my favorite. Just I mean for the same reason. It's not like this dazzling like they're doing all these crazy moves. It would be like just them staring at each other for entire chapters, and then one of them would do like one thing and the other would block, and then it would be more staring, and you're just like, oh my gosh,
yeah,
it's so
and
intense.
it really was like I can honestly say that in one of like in the middle of it, I kind of held my breath as I kept turning the page, like, oh my god, and then I'd be like, oh my god, like it was so intense and so amazing and spectacular that I was like, this is the greatest thing, the greatest fight I've ever read, and there was literally no fighting in it,
Hmm.
and it was like round two of them.
Yeah, and like when they would make a movement, it was so crazy shocking. It's like,
Mhm.
what's about to happen? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think another fight I liked was the guy with the sickle and whatever it's called, like the chain and sickle.
Hmm.
That guy was pretty cool. And then like his trainer was like that little girl.
Yeah, that one. I could not believe that was the same guy, because isn't that the guy who caught him? Like he met Musashi hanging up like on a tree.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
was like taunting him. Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, that guy. Uh, I couldn't believe they brought him back, or like he just showed up again, being trained to use the sickle and chain, and I was like,
Right.
that is intense because he's faced off spears, swords, and he never really came across a weapon like that.
Hmm. And what I liked about that, and I'm already forgetting because my memory is awful, but I remember in that whole section, you learn about that character's backstory too.
Mhm.
And I remember it being super interesting and pretty sad. And I was like, oh, that's too bad. But I don't remember what it was because I remember his brother was the one Musashi kills really early. Like he's the
Mhm.
one who attacks um the
That
prostitute
one,
and
yeah,
her daughter.
yeah, and then he has his vendetta out against him, and
Yeah. But then like somehow I don't know, he like drops his vendetta or something. I need
Mhm.
see already I need to reread
Yeah, man,
I
go
need to
for it.
reread Vagabond. Yeah. I'd like to, I think once I have the 12 that are out, just do like a
A
marathon.
binge, yeah, a binge of Vagabond.
Which brings up the sad thing that I don't want to talk about, but I'm getting worried. I really want to see a volume 13, but he's taken his time
Uh,
on writing it.
I was like, what is he talking about? I don't remember that many sad moments in this series.
No, the sad moment is will we ever get a conclusion to the series?
The series, no, but if you check your local library, you will find out the conclusion of his spectacular life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can
Mhm.
like look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, but who
Um,
wants to do that? I mean,
no,
you could
I don't.
relive it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think he's gotten out volume 37 of the singles. But I mean, obviously they can't do a Viz Big until 39. So yeah, I think 37 came out quite a while ago. I should probably check that.
I thought, I honestly thought something bad happened in the book. And I was like, I don't remember anything. Is my memory is just as bad as yours right now? But 36. When you look at the whole scale of manga and how these authors keep writing and everything, and 37 doesn't seem like much
Hmm.
because you got One Piece, which is at like 80 something. Naruto was at like what, uh, 70? I don't know. I'm not a fan of Naruto, so I couldn't give you a correct amount. And then Bleach is still ongoing, and then you got, you know,
I thought Bleach finally ended.
did it?
I
Man, it's been like so long since I read that.
I think so, but I could be wrong. So, volume 37 came out April 2015.
Oh,
So it hasn't been that long, but we are coming up on 4 years.
kinda,
Volume,
yeah.
yeah.
It's probably him drawing everything all beautifully, like it's what's taking so long.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's a very long
Mhm.
process. So, but I want some more. Well, actually, I guess I should read what's already out first
Yeah.
before I complain.
Yeah, man. I mean, there's like what, two more volumes, and we you haven't even read 9 and 10 yet.
Yeah, I own 9 and 10, haven't read them, and then there's 11 and 12. So
But you're close.
I'm close. Yeah, I guess that's the
You're
thing.
close.
I think that's why I'm like putting it off. I'm like, no, don't want it to end.
And then you could just write your own ending on the very last page of 12, and he says he was knocked into a coma, and it was all the way back.
To the very beginning.
Yep.
Just a really poor drawing of him like
Yeah.
hugging Atsu and going home.
Yeah.
Because I think that's what I really want. It's like
It's
because
not gonna happen, man.
there's some romance there. I just don't think
Well,
it's gonna happen.
no, I don't think it's gonna happen either because isn't she sort of with that other guy, the nice guy who she met at that hot springs place, like, or or was that someone else?
I thought that well I can't remember. I might be in denial because I think I just want them to be together.
Yeah, that could also
That's
be it.
probably what it. I probably just like, oh, they're just friends, and they're like,
They're like together. They're
yeah,
married with 3 kids.
yeah, and I'm just like, no,
They're still gonna be
Musashi.
together.
Yeah.
You know what would be the worst ending? If the author saw this and he was like, you know what? Atsu marries Matachi. Like,
Oh, she's pretty over him. That's, I mean, I'm
yeah, but
safe
I
bet.
mean, he'll just be like, yep, they get married. They go back together.
No,
You like that, Boy Blue? You like that?
I would not like that. That would be really upsetting for me. Unless she did it just so she could like kill him, then I'd be like, okay, that's fine. Make it a revenge tale.
Oh no, that'd be. Then she would have to learn the way of the sword. Maybe
true.
that's how. No, maybe that's the prequel to Blade of the Immortal. It just
Right, yeah.
loops into each other.
Exactly. Atsu just becomes Rin and also
Yeah.
gets younger. And that
Yeah,
is,
it's reverse time and timey-wimey stuff. Wibbly wobbly.
Trying to think of other momentous. Well, I think we should talk about briefly at least is the humor. I feel like it's few and far in between, but there are some really funny parts. Like as you've mentioned, I think
Numerous
Atsu,
times. Yeah.
Atsu trying to feed him the rice ball while he's like hanging in the air and it just like hits him in the face.
It was just like his reaction to that was just like, what? It's like, I'm sorry.
And then she just like runs away. Like,
yeah.
she's like, oh no.
Like I made a mistake.
His also. Oh, go ahead. Which one?
His student from his the only student he takes that random kid that he meets.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He has very funny moments too.
And then there's just the monk is like passing gas like all the
Yeah,
time. And I love
you
the
wouldn't
sound effect
expect
for
that.
that. It's just like brr, or like something like really silly. And then there's like I'm trying to remember, there's that really old like master swordsman and Musashi like sneaks into his house
Mhm.
and he's like contemplating whether he should kill him. And then like the guy like scratches himself with like a back scratcher or
Yeah.
something, like in his sleep. And Musashi's just like staring intently, like what is happening? And then he's just like, it's such a weird moment
Yeah,
because
it
it's like
is.
it's really tense because he's like contemplating just murdering this guy, and then like the guy just scratches himself. It's so it's like what is
Like,
happening?
God. Crazy old man in manga.
Yeah,
Uh, so the humor it is in this series. It's just like very small amounts spread throughout it
right. Yeah,
because there you can't have like too much humor in something as serious and what is real lifey
Mhm.
kind of thing. Like you can have like so much humor in One Piece and like, oh, I get it because it's a comedy kind of thing, and yet here in this one's like, oh, it's serious for the most part, but we'll just sprinkle some humor in it to balance it out.
yeah. I think the moments are chosen well. Like
Yeah,
nothing like bothered me or felt out
yeah.
of place.
That's how life is, man. Like
Yeah,
all the humor is just well timed, and
right.
that
Hopefully,
rice
yeah.
ball in his face.
Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, get stuck in a tree. Have a girl hit you in the face with a rice ball to try to feed you.
Try to think of other things. Is there anything else you want to touch on for Vagabond New Year's Spectacular?
Well, we spoke a lot about Kojiro
We
and
did. We
his
did.
sad life, and we didn't talk about the man, the myth, the legend, Musashi.
That's true.
He he obviously makes this book as great as it is because he's a great warrior to begin with when we see him because he's known as the demon child because the way he fights and goes straight and headstrong into battle. But his character development is probably the best I ever read
Mm.
because he starts off like a wild, untamed demon child who fights off everything, trying to impress his dad, I think, because his dad was a great swordsman.
But also very abusive.
Yeah,
I mean, I think
very,
that's
very.
like where the violence stems from. Because I think his dad is the first person Musashi wants to kill. I
Yeah,
mean, there's that scene where like he sneaks in to his dad's room when his dad is asleep and is about to kill him. It's like a flashback, and
yeah,
then like his dad like stops him, and I think we kind of get that in the same. I think if I remember right, that kind of you get that flashback kind of the same time when he sneaks into the
trying to
other
kill
master
the.
swordsman.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he realizes like that's not like that's not honorable. You know, like
mhm.
you want to be invincible under the sun.
You have to fight fair.
Yeah, you
Let your
can't just
opponent know. Yeah.
right. You can't just be murdering people in their sleep. But yeah, his dad is super abusive, which
Yeah,
is not fantastic.
it's not,
Yeah.
but you could see where he gets his cruelty in battle
Mhm.
kind of thing. And with each person he faces, he learns from his previous mistake. Like when he first fought the spear guy, he went like, "Oh God, I want to live," and then he goes back and he fights him again, and he beats him, and then from then on he keeps going, getting stronger by fighting each person and getting wiser as he does it, as he's traveling across Japan. Um, and it's really cool watching him because the last book was the fight between him and the brother starting, and he was gonna block with it, and then he realizes that he didn't draw a sword as the guy just like chops, like tries to chop him down. And he goes, yeah. Like, oh wait, I didn't have my sword in my hand.
Hmm.
Like, it's cool how to see from a crazy kid with a stick sword beating up on everybody to a skilled fighter who just doesn't realize he has the sword in his hand as he's gonna fight this one guy.
Right. Yeah, I agree. The character development is pretty incredible. Because to be honest, for me, like I didn't care for Musashi, at the beginning. I was like, this is the main character? Like, I'm not sure about this because, he just challenges people to fights
Yeah.
and doesn't care if he murders them. I mean, that's kind of the truth of things, but he definitely has matured quite a bit, since we first saw him.
In his defense, he did use wooden swords as he was
That is
killing these
true.
people.
That
So
is true. He would just
he
hit
was
them
trying to
so
maim
hard.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think at that point he was like, if I could just beat the people with this stick, I'm the greatest ever.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then it gets like cut down by one of the brothers, I think, when they use like real swords.
Mm-hmm. And that's when they tell him to like, meet again in a year.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Which just shows you, like, I think that's the thing. I mean, obviously, I don't know how long the real person lived. I mean, I'm assuming that he's going to have, if he finishes the series, the death will be accurate. But if he's trying to do his whole life, he started, I think when he gets to Kyoto, he's 22.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're like 4 or 5 of the Viz Bigs later, and it's only been a year. So he's like 23. I'm like, oof. This might take a while, unless he dies when he's 24. Like this might take a little bit.
Who knows? I mean, did he win against Kojiro? Does he die against Kojiro? We won't know until volume 13 of Viz Big.
So I guess that's what I'm worried about. I'm like, uh-oh. But it's a fantastic series. Even if it doesn't get finished, I mean, what's come out is pretty amazing. So,
did you just knock on wood?
No, my slipper fell off and my feet.
Oh, I thought you were like knocking on wood, like finish it. Yeah. I was like, should I knock on wood too? I mean, okay. But it's a great series, and if you guys want and like get as far as we did, like on volume 12, and then want to know what happens to the real guy, I mean, he did write a book called The Five. I think he wrote like 1 or 2 books.
The 5 Rings. I want to say that.
5 Rings is one of them, and then there's like another one. Check out his writing.
Yeah, that's the thing. He kind of, if I understand right, became like kind of like he wrote books on like on war, right? Or am I? Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's the thing. He's highly regarded, I think, even now as like kind of like a scholar too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we haven't gone far enough yet.
See the scholar style. I mean,
like I think maybe in the volume 8, the one we both just finished, I think he started like writing stuff. I could be wrong though about that, but I thought I remember him having like a parchment and he was like writing some things down. So I don't know. We'll see.
I swear, if book 37 says, and Kojiro wrote this, that makes you have to go buy his actual books, I want to be a little disappointed.
I don't think that'll happen.
Like, if you want to keep reading, buy the 5 Rings, and then
right, yeah, that'd be a odd ending.
Yeah, and at the end it would just look like a kid's drawing.
Right.
Not like the amazing art that we've seen so far.
Well, I think that's kind of all I've got. You got any closing thoughts?
It's a great read. The art in it alone is a good enough reason to pick this up.
Mm-hmm. True.
It's spectacular. There's not a lot of uncomfortable situations like in Berserk.
That is true too.
That and you could read volume 9 in a church without having to feel uncomfortable. But yeah, it's a great read. It's really cool. It's really fun if you want to learn about the amazing swordsman known as Musashi. But I personally like him better as Takezo because it sounds cooler.
You just like that name better? That's
Yeah.
fair. Man, I was gonna say something. I don't remember. We should one, I was gonna say, I'm not sure why I'm saying this now, but we need to figure out what our next episode is. So I apologize, listeners. I don't think we know what next episode will be, but stay tuned. I was also thinking we need to get you caught up on Vinland Saga. We'll have to do like a Vinland Saga talk because I think you'd be down for that series. It's a good series.
I did. I read volume 1 already.
Oh yeah. We need to get you like reading more. And I need to read One Piece.
Yeah.
I've said it now publicly for whoever can hear it. I will read One Piece. At least okay, let me start over. I'm not gonna be reading all 80 volumes or whatever.
Yes, he is.
Anytime soon, but I'll read
he will.
Like what's a good arc to try to get to? Like what's a good goal?
All of them, man. They're all great. Like I'm not gonna lie.
A realistic goal for like the next like month or 2 months.
In the next month, you gotta at least get to the Water 7 arc, which is up to 40 something.
Volume 40 something?
Yeah.
So I have to read half the series?
Yeah. Well, you could read up to because volume in the Water 7 it gets like really good and emotional. I cried during that one.
Well, I do have. I mean, I always love a good cry. So
get to volume 20 at least, and then go from there.
Okay.
Because each one has their own amazing little story arc, and each character gets fleshed out a lot more.
There you go.
Yeah. That's what makes One Piece such a great series because it's not just focused on the main characters. They still got like all these other storylines and all these other supporting characters in the whole series, and they like maybe one chapter will pop up with Captain Shanks and then his thing, and then it'll go back to Luffy and then go back to someone else. It's really cool. It's really great.
So One Piece is still your favorite, right?
Yes.
Okay. Without thinking, Berserk or Vagabond, go.
Vagabond.
Okay. See, interesting.
Yeah.
I was curious.
Well, there's not a whole lot of uncomfortable rape scenes in Vagabond.
That is true.
I mean, for all we know, like 10, 11, 12, something weird could happen. But...
I was going to say, we don't know yet. So, you never know. All right. Well, we will figure out what our next episode is. If you haven't read
episode 21
and you've stuck around, I'm sorry for... I mean, we didn't really spoil a ton of plot points.
Yeah, no.
There's
so much story left.
Yeah, there's a lot. So check out Vagabond. Google that art. Yeah, I think what's going to end up happening is if he doesn't get a few volumes out here soon, I'm going to start buying his basketball series, Slam Dunk. Yeah, just so I can look at his art. I've actually heard it's good and it's complete. And it's about basketball players. So
and you're just like, oh, well, you know what? I'm just going to switch this Amazing Samurai story to a basketball game. Like, why?
Because it's still the same great art and great writing. I've heard it's good. Slam Dunk.
You know, it's awesome. Like a manga artists and writers, they could make some of the most like mundane things look awesome and incredible when they
It's
like
true.
focus the whole story. Like the basketball one, there was this one called Hikaru no Go, and it's just a game about Go, like that little kind of chess pebble game.
Oh, interesting.
And then they got like some of swimming and
Yeah, there's a lot of
some
sports manga.
soccer. Yeah,
Yeah. I haven't read
yeah,
any, but maybe
yeah.
I'll start with Slam Dunk. Get into it.
Maybe it'll be a slam dunk.
Woo!
Swish.
All
uh,
right,
yeah,
with that lovely
yeah.
little
That was
pun.
amazing pun. Yeah, I
Uh,
made a pun.
thank you for listening. Um, check us out on YouTube and Podbean and iTunes. I've been slacking on the Instagram game.
You know, I have to. Uh, aloha. Hello. Can
Are you
you?
there?
Yeah, the last thing I heard was Instagram, and then I heard the game part just now, and I was like, hello. We had a little technical issue just
Yeah,
now.
very brief.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Uh,
thank you for listening, and let us know if you've read Vagabond, what you think of it. And that's all I got.
like, comment, subscribe, share,
Right.
and if you got any recommendations for us to read, we'll read it.
That's probably true. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So long for now. Until next week.
Adios until episode 21. TBA.